William Dickey.
Chairman Benson, committee, thank you for hearing my testimony. My name is Willem Dika, and I coach soccer for DC Scores at Emmett-on-Bone Elementary School in Ward 6. I'm testifying on my own behalf and not that of DC Scores. I would also urge you to hold the DC public school system to account for its lack of clear, unambiguous statement for support for students of immigrant families. Thousands of children of immigrant families, regardless of their or their family's immigration status, are no longer coming to school for fear of immigration raids. The response from DCPS should be obvious. Students, we have your back. Every child in this country, regardless of immigration status, has the right to an education, and no ICE official can enter any school without a warrant and cannot question any student without a parent presence, period. Disturbingly, DCPS seems to have been scared into silence about immigrant families' rights, fearing blowback from the Trump administration and Congress. And in so doing, they are abandoning those who most desperately need our voices and support. This is not the time for DCPS or any of us to give into fear. And I agree with previous testimony that DCPS putting its head in the sand will not prevent the President and Congress from coming for DC home rule.
Families are so afraid of federal retaliation that they are keeping their children home from school altogether. They fear sending their children to school could put them at risk of deportation. And what is the message from DCPS? Make sure your approved pickup list is up to date with your child's school in case you're detained. There are community members and educators in our schools, and we want to advocate for stronger protections for immigrant and transgender students, but know that speaking up, even to demand fundamental legal rights, could put families at risk by drawing attention to their immigration status or making them targets of political backlash. Some school leaders have warned educators that advocating for their students or informing families of their rights could put their jobs on the line. This fear and inconsistent school level response exists because the Chancellor has issued no written guidance affirming that educators should follow the Office of the Attorney General's recommendations on protecting immigrant students, nor has there been confirmation that DCPS's transgender and gender nonconforming policy guidance remains in place. No educator should feel retaliation for upholding the law and standing up for students. DCPS must make it clear that defending the rights of immigrant and transgender students is not only the right thing to do, it is expected and protected. DC does not have the power to stop Congress from stripping away our autonomy, but we do have the power to decide what kind of city we'll be when they do. We can set a national example of resistance or surrender before the fight has even begun. Silence is complicity. Defend DC. Defend our students.
As Trump was inaugurated for a second time, immediately ramping up deportations and stripping schools, churches, and courthouses of their safe status from ICE actions, I waited to hear anything from my principal, my daughter's principal, the chancellor, the mayor, or anyone at all. After all, DCPS is purportedly an anti-racist school district, and Washington, D.C. is ostensibly a sanctuary city. The silence from DCPS and the mayor send a clear message that the immigrant students and families of DCPS don't matter to DCPS, and DCPS will not stand in solidarity with them or fight for their rights. Meanwhile, my principal told me that she was instructed not to share information with families or even discuss immigrant rights or ICE with them. The lack of clear guidance or policy from DCPS on how to ensure that all children in the district can access their constitutionally guaranteed public education safely and without fear is shameful. Silence won't stop what the Trump administration is trying to do to our communities.
We're worried that given its approach so far, DCPS will simply acquiesce if demands are made that undermine the humanity of trans students. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen DCPS take down their equity website. And one teacher told us, our DCPS social worker just told me, that during DCPS PD last week, they were told not to use language around LGBT and told to fly under the radar.
At the expense of the safety of our school communities. Immigrants, LGBTQ+, teaching real history, our books, and more will be attacked, likely directly. There is no hiding from this fact. There is only preparing our institutions to withstand them as best we can. We cannot obey in advance. That is the number one lesson we are told when facing tyrants. Unfortunately, Mayor Bowser and Chancellor Farabee believe if we just stay quiet and keep our heads down, that perhaps the eyes of fascism will overlook us. I promise they will not.
Swingin' like Flint Miller. Yeah, she went down.
We must all meet the moment we're in, because our children will one day ask us about this historical period. What did you do? And I want to be able to tell my now 11-year-old daughter and brave girls like Lily that, sweetie, they may have come, but we came back swinging.
I'll be in danger of being cut from my neighborhood, school, and being separated from my friends.
She's one of the very first people who Trump tried to fire, and she challenged it in court saying, you don't have the legal right to fire me, I don't work for you, I'm taking you to court, was Gwynne Wilcox. She's a member of the National Labor Relations Board. And Trump announced right away, as soon as he was sworn in, that he was firing her from the National Labor Relations Board. And she said, oh no, you aren't. You do not have that right. She immediately took him to court. And in the case of Gwynne Wilcox, that led to Gwynne Wilcox going back to work yesterday, where she has been reinstated because she fought him and she won. Courage.
Blow your horn. Elon is not the president.
To allow us to be at this place at this time.
We are the ones who are now at this place at this time in American history. And what the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would ask you tonight is, what are you going to do about it?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey.